Live every day as if it were the last, because before you know it, time goes past and life's just not that long. Tell all you love that you love them so, because even if you do, they might not know, and one day we'll all be gone. Taste the wind.
Mothers and dads, it's hell for your son or daughter to feel pressured to lie to you about who they are, if they are gay, lesbian, bisexual, or transgender. Mothers and dads, it's hell for your son or daughter to feel pressured, whether they're 16 or 60, to tell you they believe in your religion if they do not. It's hell for any kid, whatever their age, to feel they have to lie to you or have you reject them if they tell you the truth, what you do not want to hear. You're severely abusing them, no matter how much you tell them you love them, if they do not feel totally free to tell you the truth. Like it or not, you're teaching them to lie. Awful child abuse. Parents, ask yourselves, do my kids know I want them to tell me the truth, even if it's not what I want to hear? No expensive gifts to your kids can substitute for having them feel and know they can risk telling you the truth and you will still love them deeply. One close friend of mine, now 60 years old, suffered his mother's death some months ago. Sadly, he lied to his mother about being gay or bisexual. He never felt free to tell her the truth. Sadly, she taught him to lie, and she may have never realized it. Mothers and dads, are you totally honest and open with your kids about your own lives? I am so glad my mother, in spite of all her many mistakes, many weaknesses in life, loved me deeply and insisted on my telling her the truth. How can you expect your kids to be open and honest with you if you are not open and honest with them? Over 1/3 of federal income tax pays for U.S. wars, past, present, future wars. We enjoy our hands to work, to garden, to play music, to eat food, to make love. But if we pay federal income tax, we pay to destroy other people's precious hands in war. We enjoy seeing flowers, sunsets, mountains, trees, written words, loved ones, sexy bodies. But if we pay federal income tax, we pay to blind people in war. We pay to severely burn babies and to rip open the flesh of grandmas and grandpas. We enjoy walking, running, dancing. But if we pay federal income tax, we pay to paralyze children who will never run again. We enjoy our homes, protection from storms and cold, a place to feel safe with loved ones. If we pay federal income tax, we pay to bomb people's homes. If we pay federal income tax, we pay to turn sons and daughters into professional hired killers, to murder on command with no conscience. if we pay federal income tax, we pay to murder our sisters and brothers abroad and to make enemies all over the world. I have paid no federal income tax, not one damn bloody penny, for 45 years, and I never will. I enjoy living simply below the federal income taxable level. A woman in California wrote, "My father worked 6 days a week. My mother was always cleaning, cooking, doing laundry. They both came from families with parents who never showed any affection, never told them they were loved. So, of course, this explains," she says, "why they did not know how to give affection or express it in words. My life changed at age 9 when I stayed overnight at a girlfriend's house. Her mother kissed us both goodnight. She tucked us in, and that did it. I was so moved by that loving gesture, I could not sleep. I thought, this is the way it's supposed to be. And when I left, I was angry at my own parents for a while, but I could not hold it against Mom and Dad for the way they were." And she says, "This is what I did to reverse the process. I began kissing my mother so often that I got her to laugh about it. I married at 17, had 2 children before I was 20. I kissed them until their little cheeks were red. And when I talked to my mother on the telephone, I would say, 'I love you, Mom.' And after a while, she finally said, 'I love you too.' I had never heard her say that before. And after a few weeks, when I'd go to see Mom, she would say, 'Where's my kiss?' And when it was time for me to leave, she would say, 'I love you. You know that, don't you?' And this woman says, 'I'm so glad I was able to change things because my precious mother passed away not long ago. I cherish the many letters from her saying, 'I love you.'" A longtime member of Alcoholics Anonymous said, "He drank for happiness, became unhappy. He drank for joy, he became miserable. He drank for sociability and he became argumentative. He drank for sophistication and became obnoxious. He drank for friendship and made enemies. He drank for sleep and he woke up tired. He drank for strength. He felt weak. He drank for relaxation. He got the shakes. He drank for courage. He became afraid. He drank for confidence. He became doubtful. He drank to make conversation easier. He slurred his speech. He drank to feel heavenly. Ended up feeling like hell." From a longtime member of Alcoholics Anonymous. A woman wrote, "My late mother-in-law was a very heavy smoker. She appeared to be in fairly good health until she passed 70. And one morning, she got out of bed and could barely stand up because of the pain. She said it was like walking on broken glass. A diagnosis by her doctor showed the arteries in both her legs were blocked. The doctor said in all the years of his medical career, he had never seen such diseased arteries. He recommended bypass surgery at once, but she refused. She was in pain 24 hours a day. And one evening, while soaking her feet, I noticed gangrene had set in. The doctor hospitalized her the following day. Her right leg was amputated below the knee. It was a horrible experience for the family, painful for her. And 1 month later, the doctors took the rest of the leg. And 2 months after that, the same problem surfaced with her left leg, and another amputation followed. That dear woman lived for 4 years in a nursing home, miserable the whole time. She lost not only both legs, but her independence, her dignity, the ability to live a normal life. Do not smoke. Most men I'm not sexually attracted to, but that still leaves many men I am sexually attracted to, but most of those men are not sexually attracted to me, or if they are, they sure don't show it. I'm glad for men and women as my close friends, even if I have no sexual attraction to them. I enjoy hugging many women, many men, all ages, all colors, all sizes, unless I know they do not want my hugs. I do not want to be a pest to any friend, any lover. I cannot make any man or woman become my friend, and I cannot make any man or woman stay my friend. I'm a fool if I try to force him or her. I cannot make any man become my lover. I cannot make any man stay my lover. I'm a fool if I try to force him. My strong attraction for him does not guarantee his attraction for me. Much worse than having no romantic lover is being with a man who does not want to be with me. Much worse than having no romantic lover is being with a man I do not want to be with. I can survive, I can enjoy life even when I have no lovers. But my eyes and my heart are open every day to connecting with new lovers. I refuse to cage any lover for him to be only with me. I refuse to let any man cage me for me to be only with him. I can be openly and deeply and honestly in love with more than one man at the same time. I'm attracted to certain men who are lean and healthy. I'm attracted to certain men who are honest, humble, dependable. I'm attracted to certain men who are affectionate and passionate. I'm attracted to certain men who are devoted to fairness and peace for all people on earth. I'm attracted to certain men who are friendly and forgiving. Our Mother Earth is our only home. The worst place on earth for us to live is better than the best place on any of our sun's other planets. No animal, no plant, for millions of years have sickened and poisoned our Mother Earth as we human beings have, especially so-called educated, civilized human beings the past several hundred years. Our poisons have made Mother Earth sick and drunk. And drunk people cannot walk steady and straight. Our drunk Mother Earth sways and staggers from extreme to extreme, from more floods to more droughts, from severe heat waves to record cold, extremes to extremes. Our Mother Earth staggers drunk on the deadly poisons we in this modern world are stupidly addicted to. Will we wake up? Will we make huge changes now in how we live to keep our Mother Earth from getting much sicker? Or will our Mother Earth eventually shake us off? Will billions of us die as she stumbles drunk? The Earth as a planet, as a massive ball, will survive in some condition, no question. But how many of us human beings will survive or suffer? Do we give a damn? We choose every day in how we live. The size of house we live in, what we buy, how we travel, how much we travel, what we eat. We must not bullshit ourselves with space travel and living on other planets' fantasies. We must not bullshit ourselves with addiction to virtual make-believe crap on the internet. Many highly educated scientists swallow make-believe answers to the climate emergency and to the awful risk of nuclear war. These highly degreed scientists know many facts and figures about the climate crisis, more than I will ever know. But how many of them have made big changes in how they live because of what they know? Have we? If we know the other person wants our touch, we need to touch each other's bodies, especially warm hugs. Millions of people, millions, all over the world, are starved for kind touch from birth and do not realize what they're missing in their lives. It's like being born with no eyesight and never fully knowing what we're missing. Kind touch connects us to other people. And sadly, many teachers are afraid to hug their students. Millions of older people suffer an epidemic of loneliness, seldom, if ever, touched affectionately by friends or family or anyone. Kind touching heals our hearts, helps us feel connected. I love to hug. I love to dance to beautiful music. My dear friend Maria called me today. I've danced with her many times at fiestas. Eating crap can cause alcoholism. Nutritionist Roger Williams proved that not enough nutrients causes alcoholism. In experiments with rats, only 10% of those with full nutrition became alcoholic. And when nutrients were cut by 1/3, about 33% became alcoholic of those rats. And when nutrients were tripled for super nutrition, only 1% became alcoholic. In another study on people who smoke and booze, when they received super nutrition, an amazing 80% stopped smoking, stopped boozing, without even trying. With the super nutrition, their bodies were sensitized what's good and what's no good for their health. Dr. John Douglas found that booze and cigarette addictions went away when those patients ate only raw foods. No willpower needed. Raw foods tell our body what's good and what is bad for our health. Dr. Joseph Beasley started a clinic for alcoholics in New York with the highest success rate in the nation. And Dr. Beasley, years before, was severely alcoholic himself. His brother, a lawyer, died young of the damn booze. The foundation of Dr. Joseph Beasley's own recovery and his treatment program was good nutrition, healthy food. Read his book, How to Defeat Alcoholism. Dr. Joseph Beasley, Beasley. Check for it at the library. If they don't have it in our local library, ask them to get it free for you through interlibrary loan. How to Defeat Alcoholism by Dr. Joseph Beasley. I eat no crap, no meat, no dairy. I drink no booze, no sodas, no coffee. I smoke no cigarettes. I take no prescription drugs except when I was in the hospital after the May 16th, 2023 hit and run. I stopped cooking my food in 1998. Cooking destroys most of the nutrients. And of course, I'm going to die. We're all going to die. But by eating healthy, living healthy, getting enough sleep, sunshine, walking a lot, having close friends, I aim to cut down the suffering before I die, because so many people go through hell before they die, in pain, suffering, disability, that usually can be prevented. Marijuana can help people feel more connected to each other. Marijuana can help people feel more caring, more understanding, less addicted to money. And my close friend, when he called me a couple nights ago, he was so mellow. He had been smoking or using marijuana in some form. And even though he has a lot of stress in his life, in the daytime, in the evening, he mellows out with marijuana. He grows marijuana. And I'm so glad that he uses marijuana instead of booze. His birth father was alcoholic, was killed by a drunk driver. His sister, who was my friend, was alcoholic, and she died. His brother is alcoholic. He's my friend. His daughter, 41, is alcoholic. So he's been surrounded by alcoholism in 4 people close to him. And he's gone to hell because of their alcoholism. And so I'm so glad that instead of booze, he uses marijuana. Many people on booze get crazy or violent. Does anyone get crazy or violent on only marijuana? Never buy marijuana from Mexico. The Mexican drug cartels have murdered thousands of people. Use only organic marijuana grown in New Mexico. Save money, grow your own. I wish all my friends who drink any booze would switch completely to only organic New Mexico grown marijuana if they're going to use something. And if I were ever diagnosed with a condition where my only choices were either a prescription drug from a pharmaceutical company or marijuana, I would sure as hell choose marijuana. No question. Every culture has wisdom and bullshit. Every culture has kindness and cruelty. Every culture has truth and insanity. I aim to learn and adopt the good and to reject the evil in every culture I contact. I constantly collect wisdom on how to live, how not to live, and to share it with anyone interested. I want to keep learning, making good changes in how I live until the day I die. One of my friends in prison that I write to, and he calls me, pardon me, I should say she calls me. She's 54 years old. She is male to female trans. Her taken name now is Prisma Moon, 54 years old, male to female trans. In one letter to me, she said that if she had come out trans before her father died, and if she had not been in prison at the time, her father would have killed her. Her father owned guns and would have shot her if he had known she was queer. Prisma Moon came out trans when she was almost 52, after her father died. We lesbian, gay, bisexual, trans, queer people have come a long way, but we have a long, long way to go. I was drunk on religion. I was drunk on the Bible for many years. And I apologize for addicting people to religion. I was very sincere, but I was sincerely wrong. Deeply questioning whatever the religion we come from our childhood, can open the door to question many other things, not just religion. To question our government's evil actions now, in this world, in killing thousands of people through Israel in Gaza. Thousands of Palestinian men, women, and children, many thousands. Primarily, mostly, women and kids, more than men. The blood of the Palestinians in Gaza is on the hands of every silent U.S. citizen. Questioning religion can open the door to question the U.S. history, the brutal U.S. history toward Native Americans, toward African Americans, toward women, toward LGBT, the brutal U.S. history. We can begin to question modern medicine, sexual taboos, white supremacy, racial injustices, why people want much more money, much more stuff than anyone needs. We can question how the American dream is a nightmare disaster for all human life, all plant life, all animal life on earth. Question everything to better understand reality and to face the truth, as painful as the truth often is. From 1898 to 1931, Smedley Butler was a member of the U.S. Marine Corps. By the time he retired, he had achieved what was then the Corps' highest rank, Major General. And by the time he died in 1940, at 58 years old, Smedley Butler had more decorations, including 2 Medals of Honor, than any other U.S. Marine. And during his years in the Corps, he was sent to the Philippines at the time of the uprising against the U.S. occupation. Smedley Butler was sent to China, to France during World War I. He was sent to Mexico, to Central America, to Haiti, the most highly decorated U.S. Marine at the time. Butler probably shocked a good many people when in 1935, 4 years after he was out of the Marines, he wrote this. He said, "I spent 33 years and 4 months in active military service. During that period, I spent most of my time as a high-class muscle man for big business, for Wall Street, for the bankers. In short, I was a racketeer, a gangster for capitalism. I helped make Mexico, and especially Tampico, safe for American oil interests in 1914. I helped make Haiti and Cuba a decent place for the National City bank boys to collect revenues in. You see, money, greed from the United States. Smedley Butler said, I helped in the raping of half a dozen Central American republics. Why? For the benefit of Wall Street. I helped purify Nicaragua for the International Banking House of Brown Brothers. in 1902 to 1912. I brought light to the Dominican Republic for the American sugar interests in 1916. I helped make Honduras right for the American fruit companies in 1903. In China in 1927, I helped see to it that Standard Oil went on its way unmolested. Looking back on it, said Smedley Butler, this highly decorated U.S. Marine, I might have given Al Capone a few hints. The best Al Capone could do was to operate his racket in 3 districts. Smedley Butler says, I operated on 3 continents. That same year, 1935, that Butler wrote that powerful testimony. He published a short book entitled War is a Racket. And Butler opened the book with these words, war is a racket. It always has been. He said it's possibly the oldest, easily the most profitable, surely the most vicious. It's the only one international in scope. It's the only one in which the profits are reckoned in dollars and the losses in lives. Smedley Butler said, for a great many years as a soldier, I had a suspicion that war was a racket. Not until I retired to civil life did I fully realize that. Smedley Butler closed that book with, to hell with war. Our bodies have about 60,000 miles of blood vessels. Think about that. 60,000 miles of blood vessels in our bodies. And most of our blood vessels are thinner than a human hair. And the further from our heart, the smaller our arteries and veins become. They are smallest in our legs and our feet. No wonder that too much sitting on our ass with our legs hanging down is as deadly as smoking cigarettes. We need to walk, we need to exercise every day if we are able. No lowrider car, no computer, no video games are as wonderful as a healthy, lean body. The United States has 574 Native American tribes, 574 Native American tribes officially recognized by the U.S. government. Gaining even 11 pounds of weight can cause our knees to go bad and cause surgeries to replace our knees. Just 11 pounds extra weight. Osteoarthritis develops when the cartilage that acts as a cushion between the bones in a joint breaks down or wears away. And then the bones in the joint rub together, causing pain. Listening to or singing songs can help people with dementia to feel and behave better? What kind of music does your loved one with dementia enjoy? Ask friends, ask family to suggest songs. Play music that has no commercials. Turn off the TV. Shut the door. No other noise when playing the favorite music of your loved ones who have dementia. Play the music not too loud, not too soft, and see how it can help them connect. I have no desire for most of the stuff sold in shopping malls. Zero desire. I would be ashamed as hell to own and live in a large mansion. I live in one sunny room. I've been there for almost 14 years. 9.5 by 12 feet, 114 square feet, has 6 windows. It's in the house of a friend. I rent the room, and he has me send every penny of the rent directly. I don't give it to him, to send it directly to Right Sharing of World Resources, an organization that lends money to women's cooperatives, sewing cooperatives, agricultural cooperatives in India, in Africa, in Guatemala. And this 9.5 by 12 foot room with 6 windows is my favorite place I've ever lived in my 78 years. And of course, I have deep heart connections to the farm where I grew up and where my mother was born in that house. But I certainly would not want to live alone in a 10-room house, which that house was, plus closet and basement. No, I enjoy my one room. I would not keep any car if it were given to me free, and if I were paid to drive it. I've owned no car for 44 years. I ride city buses, I walk, and since the May 16th last year hit and run, sometimes I accept rides from friends in their cars. Why buy expensive crap for gifts for friends who already are spoiled with far too much stuff, closets full, dressers full of stuff, far more than they need? Think of the landfills, the big bills, the hungry, homeless kids who are sick and cold worldwide and could benefit so much from all the damn money that went into spoiling people with too much stuff. Maggie Kuhn, K-U-H-N, was the founder of Gray Panthers, an organization of AIDS and youth working together in action. And Maggie Kuhn died at 89 years old years ago. Maggie Kuhn was a longtime activist against discrimination, a longtime activist against the Vietnam War. And Maggie Kuhn said, do something outrageous every day. And Maggie said, mental health for old people requires 2 things. 1, social action. Take a stand, protest, demonstrate, work for change. Make the world a better place. And number 2, sex for mental health for old people. Maggie Kuhn had many love affairs. In her 70s, she had a love affair with a man in his 20s. And on her tombstone, Maggie Kuhn wanted these words: "Here lies Maggie Kuhn under the only stone she left unturned." Our very close relatives, the bonobos apes, share over 98% of the genes we human beings have. Over 98% of the same genes. The bonobos live, make love, not war. They settle conflicts with lots of sex, giving each other pleasure. No bonobo has ever been seen killing another bonobo in the wild. No bonobo has ever been seen killing another bonobo in a zoo. Sadly, many humans are addicted to guns, to war, to bombs, to watching movies that glamorize murder and horror. Often, the older female bonobos are in charge in their communities. Rape and sexual harassment are rare. Males and females are bisexual. Lots of sex between males and females, males and males, females and females, old and young. Bonobos are the apes of all the different categories of apes that touch each other the most. When we humans don't get touched, we suffer. We often make others suffer. Bonobos cooperate and share with each other. The bonobos teach us that passion and compassion are the wise way to live. Not grabbing more than we need. Not grabbing and hogging more than our fair share. Instead, making love, not war. Making love, not greed. Fresh, raw greens build strong muscles, strong bodies. Gorillas, rhinoceroses, hippopotamuses, elephants, these very strong animals eat mostly greens. Mostly greens. If you want to kick addictions to cigarettes, to cocaine, to coffee, eat lots of fresh, raw greens every day. Collards, cabbage, parsley, wild spinach, which is colitas in Spanish, alfalfa, dandelions, celery. Lots of greens, plus extra hot red chili pepper, give a healthy, natural high. After her mother died, when Rosalie Whirlwind Soldier was just 4 years old, she was put into a Native American boarding school in South Dakota. She was told her Native Lakota language was devil's speak. Rosalie recalls being locked in a basement at St. Francis Indian Mission School for weeks as punishment for breaking the school's strict rules. Her long braids were shorn, cut off, in a deliberate effort to stamp out her cultural identity. When she broke her leg in an accident, Rosalie said she received shoddy care, leaving her with pain and a limp that still hobbles her many, many years later. Now 78, still living on the reservation, Rosalie said she was airing her horrific experiences in hopes of finally getting past them. She said the only thing they didn't do was put us in an oven and gas us, comparing the treatment of Native Americans in the United States to the Jewish Holocaust during World War II. She later added, "But I let it go. I'm going to make it." Starting with the Indian Civilization Act of 1819, the United States enacted laws and policies to establish and support these boarding schools. The stated goal was to, quote, civilize, unquote, Native Americans, Alaska Natives, Native Hawaiians, but that was often carried out through abusive practices. Religious and private institutions that ran many of those schools received money from the federal government, and most closed their doors long ago, and none still exist to strip students of their identities. But some, including St. Francis schools, still function as schools, but with drastically different missions that celebrate the cultural backgrounds of their native students. Former St. Francis student Ruby Left-Hand Bull Sanchez traveled hundreds of miles from Denver to speak out about what she and thousands of others suffered many years before. She cried as she recalled almost being killed as a child when a nun stuffed lye soap down her throat in response to Sanchez praying in her native language. She said, "I want the world to know." More than 400 boarding schools that the U.S. government supported beginning in the late 19th century, continuing well into the 1960s. It also found that at least 500 children died at some of those schools. About 100 more schools, not on the government list, were run by groups such as churches. And they all had the same mission years ago, the same goals: kill the Indian, save the man. For Native American children, Kennett said the intention was to assimilate them and steal everything Indian out of them except their blood, and to make them despise who they are, their culture, and to forget their language. Horrible abuse, cultural poison to these thousands of Native American children, robbed of their true identity. Why do many men hate and fear homosexuality? Hatred for sex and romance between males is drilled into many boys from early childhood. Many 10 or 12 or 14-year-old boys would rather be called liar or called fool or thief or stupid or lazy or son of a bitch than to be called fag or hopo. And sadly, many men are afraid to admit their attraction to men, especially if they also strongly love their wives or girlfriends and enjoy sex intensely with those women. They fear losing sex and romance with the women they love if those women find out their attraction also for men. Why do many men hate and fear homosexuality? Some men suffered abuse as kids from men who forced sex upon them when they did not want it. Some men, as adults, suffered pestering and pressure for sex from men who refused to take no for an answer. And some straight men are jealous of gays and bisexuals' easier access to sex partners because many men were taught you're more of a man if you're a stud. But many women were taught they're sluts and less of a woman if they have sex with many men. The number one cause of death in New Mexico for youth is guns. Most deaths by guns in the United States are suicides. I hate guns. I've never owned a gun, and I never plan to. Believers say God won't give a believer more than she can handle. Tell that to a Christian woman in Iraq who sees her whole family murdered by a U.S. soldier in a helicopter in the U.S. war against Iraq. Severely depressed, this Christian woman kills herself. In December 2000, a horrible accident. A woman's eight months pregnant was thrown through the windshield of a truck to the pavement. The jackknifing truck sliced her body in half. The live baby came out of his mother, still attached to the umbilical cord. And the baby's father, who was driving the truck, said the baby's survival was a miracle. A miracle? That the mother died an awful death by being cut in half? A miracle that the baby will grow up without his mother and when old enough be saddened when they told him the horrible way she died? A miracle that the baby was slammed onto the concrete? Sadly, so-called believers, and many of them are very sincere. Very sincere. I was very sincere. But so-called believers, no matter how sincere, will do almost anything to defend their gods, the actions, so-called, of their God. I thank you for watching and listening, and I strongly thank Mark, Eddie, Travis for their great help week after week, month after month with my program. And if you see me on the street, I invite you to stop and talk if you want to. I love personal questions, and I mean that. And I treasure heart-to-heart conversations. To your health, to my health, my fresh piss.
Tell all you love that you love them so, because even if you do, they might not know, and one day we'll all be gone.